This is a good movie podcast with Katie and Joe.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of This is a Good Movie podcast. We're doing something a little different this week. We are talking about the Oscars.
Edition. Oscar edition.
Yes, it's This is a Good Movie podcast.
Edition.
Oscar edition.
Oh, Oscar
is what
edition.
Joe wanted to say. Joe is having a moment right now, and so that's why I've taken over this part.
I tried 6 tries in a row, and the speed was never right. And also,
It was like he hadn't ever spoken before and was trying out how to do that.
yeah, it was like a classic alien disguising themselves as human. Like, what did you guys watch on the television today?
Yeah, it was upsetting to watch. So I said, I'll take this over. And then what happened is I got about 2 seconds into it, and then Joe sabotaged my intro as well.
I got nervous.
We're talking Oscars.
We're talking Oscars. Folks are doing a little bit different. I'm your host, Joe Bates.
And I'm Katie Hatledge.
And we are going to be talking about all the nominees for the Oscars.
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them. We're going to go through each category, what our thoughts on it, who do we think will win, and then a little thing at the end, and that's about it.
Yeah, we've spent, months at this point now trying to watch as many as we could of the nominees. Like the films that were nominated, but also the performances, the shorts. Like you watch a bunch. It's honestly taken a lot of time and effort. And thankfully we live in New York where they show a lot of the more like independent stuff. So we were able to knock some of those off too. But yeah, it's quite the effort.
Yeah, I will say I've definitely made a big effort. There is, at the end of the day, 9 movies that are nominated that I did not see.
Out of how many total? Like hundreds?
Yeah, I don't really know that total number, but I just know there was 9 I didn't see, and most of them were just because they were never out. All of them weren't on streaming.
Yeah, right.
I would say the one I really wish I could have seen that I didn't see was Godzilla -1.
Yeah, it's supposed to be good.
Which I heard was good. And then The Boy and the Heron, but I never watched a lot of Miyazaki films. Mm-hmm. And then Robot Dreams looked fun. Napoleon didn't see, and the other ones are just kind of international films.
So if you're hoping we talk about those ones, I'm sorry, we are not.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about a lot of others.
I will say what I'm going to try and do is some stuff outside this podcast for the categories we're not covering today, which is short-form documentaries, and best animated movie, the best documentary, best international feature, and best visual effects. But outside that, why don't we get started, Katie? You can do our first one, our first nominee that we talk about for the Oscar. This is a good Oscars podcast movie.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it's a good Oscars or not. I don't know. Sometimes it's hit or miss. And also there have been so many award shows.
We watched a lot of award shows.
Goodness. There's another one happening right now, which I just feel like normally you also don't even know that these award shows are happening. Like, this is the first time I've ever seen the SAG Awards televised. Like, normally you just aren't aware of these, but this time it feels like it's everywhere.
Yeah, I've never really watched before, dating you, marrying you, being with you. Mm-hmm. I never watched, like, the Golden Globes or the BAFTAs or any of these, and I feel like I've been watching a lot of that more. And what I've noticed, especially this year, and we talked about it last night watching the SAG Awards, it feels like it's already decided who wins every category.
Yeah, most of our predictions, I'm thinking, for the Oscars will be not that surprising because there have been, like, 0 surprises.
There was one surprise in the SAG Awards, which was for TV, Best Actor in a TV series, with Pedro Pascal winning. But
yeah,
outside
instead of
that,
a Succession person. But.
Yeah, outside that, it does feel like we kind of already know who's going to win, mainly the acting categories. Mm-hmm. But without any further ado,
let's get into it. We're going to start with actress in a supporting role. The nominees are Emily Blunt from Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple, America Ferrera, Barbie, Jodie Foster, Nyad, and Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers. Now, Divine has been winning everything. She's swept, so I have no reason to believe she won't win this one too. But if she doesn't, for some reason, of the others, who do you think would be a good pick?
Well, I just say their roles in their movies that I liked is in Oppenheimer, which is a movie I enjoyed. Not as enjoyed as much as a lot of some of the other movies I've seen, but I thought Emily Blunt was such a small role. Like, I went away thinking of Emily Blunt's character.
She does have a surprisingly small role. She plays the wife, a surprisingly small role for how much like she's in the promotion of the film. And now, I mean, she's nominated, so I get now that she's like everywhere for it, but not a huge role. But she does a good job with it. I mean, I personally think Jodie Foster was great in Nyad, despite not loving the rest of the movie.
Jodie Foster makes Nyad a watchable movie.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's very impressive. So for that alone, I think we could give it to her.
I mean, we'll talk about the the Nyad of it
Yeah.
later, but I mean, it really did make me go, Jodie Foster, you're great. Where you been all my life?
She's been in Hollywood doing films.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very, very famous. No, I mean, I do think Divine Joy Randolph, like, she's winning because she is good in The Holdovers. The only thing is that I wish there was more with her character, Mary. Like, she's great in it, but it feels like they cut a scene or two where she can really shine a bit more. Like, I just wish that we were seeing more of her in the film.
She plays a very complex character, and she really is like the core of the film. To let Paul Giamatti and who's Dominic Sessa? Is that the other
I think
kid?
that's his name. Yeah.
She really holds that whole movie together, which is, I like the movie a lot. So I do appreciate that, and I do feel like, I don't know, it does seem like for actress in a supporting role, a weaker year than previous.
Yeah, the fact that America Ferrera got nominated, I think, shows that it's kind of a weaker year for this category. Not that she wasn't good, but like it didn't feel especially groundbreaking to me. Danielle Brooks, great in The Color Purple, and she was in that role on Broadway, so like she's very good at that role. But it's, when we were watching it, I was like, the first half of the film, I was like, why was she nominated? Because seems like a very small part, but then towards the end, you kind of
well, we've never seen the original before.
we hadn't seen the original, so this was like a brand new story to us. And then I thought overall she was really great.
Yeah, no, I think Danielle Brooks will eventually win an Oscar.
She should.
But I don't think it's going to be for this one.
Big Danielle Brooks fans.
So who
when
do you
is
think?
Peacemaker season?
Peacemaker season 2. I don't know. The whole James Gunn thing is going kind of crazy with the DC.
Oh no.
Not that it's going. It's just like him. He's doing a lot of work, so I don't think he's had time to focus on Peacemaker season 2.
Such a great show.
So who do you think will win, and who do you think should win?
Divine Joy Randolph will win, and Jodie Foster should win.
I've thought about it more. I really love Emily Blunt, but I think Divine Joy Randolph will and should win.
Oh, yeah, I guess I just automatically was like, I'm going to pick different people. That's so dumb.
Well, no, it's just I'm not racist.
No, I think at this point, honestly, like we already talked about, there have been 0 surprises. Everyone is sweeping, and that feels very boring. So I'm like, I really want just a totally different Oscars than the award shows that we've seen leading up to this. So that's why I'm kind of like rooting for the unexpected winners. But yeah, I mean, if Divine wins, that's perfectly fine.
I will say, I think the next nominee I'm going to bring up is the one we may see a surprise. And that's actor in a supporting role.
Actor. Yeah.
And the nominees are Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer. He's been winning most of them, not all of them.
But most.
Ryan Gosling in Barbie.
Great.
And Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things.
Also pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, this is the opposite of this is like the heavy hitter category right now.
Yes. And I was really pleasantly surprised with the nominations for this category because there were a lot of fun ones thrown in. I think we all expected Robert Downey Jr., which I thought he was great in Oppenheimer. And I thought that was like kind of a different turn for him. I really liked that character. Robert De Niro, very good in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Unbelievably good. And
I mean, kind of different for him as well. But then I thought the other three were kind of like surprise nominations. I wasn't necessarily expecting Sterling K. Brown, Ryan Gosling, and Mark Ruffalo, even though I thought all three of them were fantastic in those films and like absolutely deserved the nominations. I don't know why I just wasn't expecting them to like get that attention.
I think similar. I think to me, it's like when I leave a movie, am I thinking of that performance? And I would say Ryan Gosling, Robert Downey Jr., Sterling K. Brown. When I left the movie, those were the first people I thought of after the movie, which isn't great for Barbie. Maybe I'm part of the problem, but those are the three roles after I left.
That is a risk you take when you cast Ryan Gosling in literally any film, because I very rarely am leaving a Ryan Gosling film not thinking about Ryan Gosling. He's just fantastic.
But Robert De Niro is just so evil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In his role in Killers of the Flower Moon, yet at the same time, you can kind of get why people are allowing it, because he's like going up to them, he's like, I'm evil. And they're like, yeah, but you're great. He's like, I am helping you, but I am evil.
Mm-hmm. Well, he has a certain amount of charisma.
Yeah.
He is playing a game where like he publicly is helping in certain ways, but behind the scenes is like undoing any
Everything.
Progress.
Yeah. And just stealing tons and tons of money.
Stealing lots of money from the Native Americans.
I like all five of these. Ryan Gosling, it's insane. It has no reason to be that good.
Such a fun win, but like feels not right compared to the other ones. I don't know.
It's tough because I disagree with that, because I think comedies get such a...
Yeah, they like never get nominated.
And the way he carries himself with charming, and it's like funny, and he's doing a lot in that movie with a simple character. I don't think it would be upsetting for anybody if he ended up winning that.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset, but to be clear, maybe it's more that I just don't want to read the online commentary. I don't want to read the discourse around his win, because there has been enough discourse around his nomination that's been like insufferable that I just don't want to deal with that anymore. Mm-hmm. But maybe, you know what? In spite of that, I do want him to win now. So there you go. I've done a real 180.
And lastly, with Mark Ruffalo, I honestly don't think he should have been nominated, and he's not even the best one in a supporting role in that movie.
You love Willem Dafoe.
William Dafoe is wearing so much prosthetics and acts his way out. Like, I don't even notice he's in the prosthetics at the end of the movie. It just is who he is.
Yeah, I don't have the same like allegiances to Willem that you do. So,
oh my gosh!
But I think I do have allegiances to Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I think Mark Ruffalo is good.
Except in what was that Netflix miniseries that he just did? All the Light We Cannot See. Mark Ruffalo was in that, and it's based on a book, and you didn't watch it, and I did. His accent in that. If anyone else watched this, please, I hope that you also felt this way. Like, he's good, but oh my gosh, what was this, like, French-English accent that he was doing? It totally took me out of this miniseries. And the book is so good, and I was like, it's like World War II. That was so bad. So when and I watched that before watching Poor Things. So when Poor Things starts, and then I see that Mark Ruffalo's in it, and that he's going to be doing a British accent, I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. But thankfully, it was a different British accent, and so it was fine. And he was very silly, and although I personally didn't love some of the things that his character was doing, that's not part of the acting, so I can't really judge him on that. Some of it was hard to watch for me, but it is what it is. I thought he did it very well. And also, he's a terrible person, and you're still kind of... In the movie. He's a great person in real life. We know that. He's a terrible person in the movie, but you're still kind of somehow not hating him by the end of it, and I think that is always very impressive.
I feel like his character is very, very charming, but it's very, very one note throughout the movie. There isn't a lot of arc in Mark Ruffalo's character internally.
No. Yeah,
externally there's an arc, but internally there's like nothing going on.
Yeah, which I think is the point of his character.
I get it, but I'm saying like William Dafoe, there is like an arc, and I feel like not seeing that kind of thing makes me feel like they're not the best performance of the year or whatever.
Okay. So who do you think will win?
I believe Robert. Actually, you know what? I think Sterling K. Brown will win,
Oh, okay.
and I think Ryan Gosling should win.
Okay, very fun. I'm gonna, safe route is Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, he's been winning a lot of
will
them.
Win. Who do I want to win? I mean, I guess Ryan Gosling, but
I mean, I'm good with everybody but Mark Ruffalo winning this. Like, there's like, I'm not like, oh, that's not great. I'm like, they all killed it.
Yeah. It was. I mean, like we said, very strong category.
So you're saying Ryan Gosling is what you want, and Robert Downey Jr. will win.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Next up, we have Best Sound. I mean, I don't know really that I have much to say for this, but
My favorite sound is this.
Joe's just hitting himself in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, the nominees are The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. Now, here's why I don't think Oppenheimer should win. That sound, as much as I like the movie, that sound was overwhelming and like stressful, because it would be very quiet and then all of a sudden just the loudest noises you've ever heard that are like grating. So just for the fact of like I didn't enjoy hearing parts of that movie, I don't want it to win.
I mean, the movie is, I feel like if there's one major focal point of Oppenheimer, it is the sound. Like, that is such a big part of the movie.
I just don't like it.
No, I get it. Like, when he is talking to them after they, like, finish making the bomb, they're all celebrating him, and it's just, like, the bomb exploding and all the people screaming while he's, like, being cheered on. It is anxiety-driven. It is uncut gems.
Which
anxiety
I did
level.
not care for.
I watched The Creator, which you didn't watch.
I watched parts of it.
Yeah, you watched parts of it, but I watched the whole thing. And it's fine. It's a good movie. But I don't think sound is where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Maestro.
I mean, it's a musical movie, so I kind of get that sound is part of it. The conducting, the orchestra, like, it makes sense.
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. We watched the first one last week.
Yeah,
so we still have to catch up for all the movies in between.
I mean, I'm just going to assume it's great.
Oppenheimer, Taja.
Zone of Interest, understated sound.
Sound is like, I would say Oppenheimer and Zone of Interest sound is like the major focal points of the movie.
Yeah, I could definitely see Zone of Interest winning this because sound is informing a lot of, like, it's informing the audience with a lot of what's happening that you're actually not seeing, because in it, you're focused on this family, this Nazi family that is living just outside of Auschwitz, and then you often will hear things happening in the concentration camp that they are ignoring. They are not commenting on the things happening, but you hear like dogs barking and stuff like that. So I feel like the sound, because it was so intentional and added another layer to the story, that like I could definitely see this going that direction and would be totally fine with it. I think actually I'm gonna champion Zone of Interest on this one.
So is that gonna be your pick to win?
Yeah.
And what you want to win?
Yeah, why not?
Man, I think so. I didn't choose for supporting actor, but this is kind of a telltale sign of my voting. The last couple of years, between like Coda, Everything Everywhere All at Once, it feels like one movie has like swept every category it's nominated in.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they've expanded the voters. It just kind of comes out that way. People pick the movie like, oh, this is the movie we have to pick.
They like it for everything.
So I think Oppenheimer, and it does like a lot. I know it's annoying and it's really loud sometimes, but it is a crazy movie. So I think should and should win and will win is Oppenheimer on my end.
All
and I
right.
think Oppenheimer's going to win a lot of awards this
I think so too.
Oscars.
Yeah.
To an
yeah.
annoying amount.
Okay,
next up, we've got the best score,
Okay.
musical score for the movie. The nominees are American Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. We watched Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and it is just the Indiana Jones soundtrack.
Which is great.
Which is great, but that should not be part of this. He just made the same song again that we all love. There is like other aspects.
I wonder if it's just like when John Williams does a film that year, you put it in this category.
Yeah, and he had retired and came back to do Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but he's won like 15 of these already. Like, he doesn't need it.
Yeah. The rest of them, I mean, I couldn't really tell you anything about the scores for these films. They don't stick with me necessarily. These are also all movies that we saw, I think, actually in 2023. So I'm just a bit removed from them.
I don't know. I definitely remember the score to Poor Things.
Okay.
That kind of like hollow, airy, like.
Oh yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I didn't love it. It tried to kind of blend in with what the movie was, but I thought it was a little bit off.
I think I liked the score for American Fiction.
Yes, the American Fiction was a really good score. It was like kind of a mix of jazz.
Set a very good tone for the different scenes.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
I don't remember.
Is a movie that's 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And doesn't feel it. And I think a big credit to that not only is the acting and the storytelling and the pacing, but is the underlying score as it goes along. So for me, what I think will win, Oppenheimer. What I think should win, I'm gonna go with American Fiction.
I want to pick something different from you.
You can do the same. It's okay.
I know. I will say what I think will win is Indiana Jones. No, Oppenheimer. And what should win is American Fiction. Same as you.
Gotcha.
Okay. Sticking with musical, let's talk original song. Now, the nominees are The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot.
Which is a story that's already based on a lie about making Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Yeah. Didn't watch that one. I'm Just Ken from Barbie. It Never Went Away from American Symphony, the John Batiste movie.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know how to pronounce this one.
Wajaje?
Wajaje, a song for my people from Killers of the Flower Moon. And then What Was I Made For from Barbie. That's the Billie Eilish one that has been winning everything else. So, I mean,
I think
theoretically, that one is the choice to win.
I'm Just Ken won one other one. It was the only one. It was the only one to win something else.
Oh yeah, it did win.
Yeah.
What was like the most recent thing?
I don't remember, but I do know that I'm Just Ken.
Too many.
Yeah, there's too many awards.
Too many awards.
The Fire. I've listened to all 5 of these songs.
Okay.
The Fire Inside is generic, kind of what you expect one of these songs to be nominated. Like that one lady who gets nominated every year in a movie nobody watches.
Yeah.
It Never Went Away from American Symphony is a really good song, but it ain't the other 3. The one is like going to be a really cool performance to see at the Oscars.
Oh yeah, because they have to
With the
perform
Osage,
all of them,
I
right?
believe the Osage Indians will perform on stage.
That'll be cool.
Which I think would be really good. But this is down between I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For.
Yeah, I think so too, particularly because truly the best original song of the year was unfortunately not nominated, and that song is Camp Isn't Home from Theater Camp, which is a great song.
I honestly have issues with Best Original Song in the Oscars because a lot of independent movies have weird original songs in them that are very... There's a movie we haven't watched in this podcast yet, we will, called Frank, and has some of the most unique, crazy songs ever made for movies, and it got nothing. The Happy Birthday song from Hunt for the Wilder Beast,
Wilder People?
Wilder People, that wasn't nominated.
Ricky Vega. Ricky Vega.
Happy birthday. Yeah, so right now I think this is between I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For. For me, what I'm gonna say is What Was I Made For should and will win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
You
This
don't.
is
You
so
don't
controversial.
love
I'm not
Billie
a
Eilish.
huge Billie Eilish fan. It's
Yeah.
just like not my thing. Like I would throw Dua Lipa in here. That is a bop. But I do think What Was I Made For will probably win just because it has been winning. I don't know what I want to win. I don't really.
You love the I'm Just Ken song.
I do love it, but I don't know that I like really want it to win. But it is pretty fun. Yeah, I guess I'll pick it. I just want Ryan Gosling to win everything. I love him.
That is true. You do love Ryan Gosling a whole bunch. Yeah. No, but I think all five will be interesting to watch performed at the Oscars. I hope they do that where they let them play the whole song again, which they've been doing.
Yeah. Lady Gaga's performance.
yeah.
Laugh away from a cry.
That was an insane performance when she went up.
Well, she was not going to.
Yeah.
All of a sudden she was like, I can't. And then she was like, okay, I will, but I'm going to be totally stripped down, no makeup, no, I'm just going to wear
crazy.
a t-shirt. And I mean, goddamn, that song is so good. That song from Top Gun Maverick, so good. Also, did you catch on the SAG red carpet when Tan France was asking Glenn Powell, are we going to have a third Top Gun? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, I didn't even consider that. I didn't even know that was something we could have.
Top Gun Goose.
I want it so bad.
I always call it Top Gun Goose.
And I hope Ryan Gosling's in it.
One of my favorite things to do that we've done since in New York
Yeah.
is we go and see the short films.
Which I do think now pretty much every major city does show these, and AMC is starting to show them too. So you should be able to catch them somewhere, and you should if you're into this stuff.
Yeah, it's it'll be 90 minutes at 2 hours, and it goes by because it's 5 films they show. So we're gonna talk about best animated short film right now.
Yep.
Which we saw at Spectacle, a former crematorium turned into a movie theater.
Yeah, which is not how they advertise themselves. They don't say on the website that they're a former crematorium. It's just that I felt when we went there the first time that it was kind of spooky and very open. And I was like, this was not built to be a movie theater. What was this built to be? And the bartender was like, it was a crematorium. And we go, is it haunted? And she says, yes.
She didn't say yes. She goes,
she did.
She goes, I've heard ghosts here.
That's a yes to me.
That is a yes, but I'm just saying it is more specific yes than just a yes.
Okay.
I've interacted with the spectral beings.
Let's talk the animated short film nominees. You want to
Okay.
list them?
Yeah. We got Letter to a Pig,
Not what I thought it was going to be.
95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko.
Yes. Okay. I think you and I are in agreement on which one should win.
So let's just go over it real quick.
So, yeah, so let's just review.
Letter to a Pig is
Okay.
an animated short film about a Jewish Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
And the kids listening to the story and their reaction to what the Nazis did to the Jewish people.
Yes.
I believe it's not very clear exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. It's a very vague, ambiguous ending. Now what I thought this was going to be, because they announced the titles before they show it all to you. So I see Letter to a Pig, and I think this is the story of a child on a farm who forms a close connection with a pig. And then eventually, you know what has to happen? The pig
kills the kid.
No, but the pig doesn't make it.
Yeah,
and
no.
Now,
your
as an
movie
adult,
didn't happen.
now
So.
as an adult, the child is writing a letter to this pig, and I mean, you can vouch for me. I was tearing up before the short film started to play, and then I stopped because I realized that was not at all what this movie was.
I mean, I will say, not great to say you stopped tearing up when you found out what the movie was about.
Well, they don't really focus
No,
on
it's
a lot of the harrowing stuff.
Yeah, it focuses
It's
more on
not-
the anger aspect of it.
Yeah.
95 Senses is about a man on death row talking about the five senses you feel.
And you kind of hear his story of how he ended up on death row, and that's sort of a reveal at the end. And that one was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that
And
one.
really cool because the five senses, they go through each sense, and each sense, that bit of the movie is done by a different animation team. So they all have different looks. So that's why I think this one should win, is because not only is it a very good story, but also I think the animation is special.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was visually stimulating. I think in its voice, the guy who does it is voiced by the third person in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, not George Clooney, not John Turturro,
And he's in Holes.
and he's in Holes. He's in The Hole. he's in the hole of jail.
Okay.
And then Our Uniform, which is about wearing a hijab in Iran,
Yep.
and then not wearing one when you're not in Iran.
Yeah, the animation style for that was really that was a very short film.
It's like 8 minutes.
I feel like sometimes the really short ones, you kind of just assume they're not going to win for some reason. So I don't think this one will win, but it was good, and the animation is cool because all of the animation is like over fabric.
Yeah, over
that was
different forms of clothes,
really visually
and
interesting.
taking it, like using that to like help design the animation around it. I mean, I would say that's probably the most unique animation of the year.
Yeah.
Pachyderm, which is just
What is that? I already forgot.
Pachyderm is the girl staying with her grandparents.
Oh my god.
It's a very depressing story of
don't even wanna
a
talk
girl
about
with a
that.
grandfather who is not a good guy, and I'll just leave it to that. And as her dealing with it, the animation
Deeply
is good.
upsetting.
The story is upsetting.
Yeah,
and
we should be
impactful.
clear. Animated does not equal for children.
Animated short.
Not at all.
If you go to see the animated shorts, I will tell you this: be ready to like not feel great. Like they are usually like super dark topics.
That's for all the short films. Yeah.
Yeah. Live action shorts sometimes it can be
You
a
can
little
get
bit
like
more fun.
one uplifting one, and that's it. They're like,
Animated-
we'll give you one.
And then lastly, War is Over, inspired by music of John and Yoko, is basically whatever Disney-fying kind of, oh, we feel good now.
Yeah.
But it's,
Was this one actually, is this from Disney or no? It looks like a Disney film.
It looks
It's
like a
the animation,
Pixar kind
The
of
animation
thing.
style is like Disney animated.
I
film.
don't know that. I can look it up, but you want to explain what it is?
Yeah, so it's an ambiguous war is taking place. It's kind of World War One vibes because they're in the trenches, but they aren't wearing. It's not actually World War One. But there's a pigeon, a messenger pigeon, and you find out that two soldiers on opposite sides are playing a chess game with each other through this messenger pigeon, and then they have to go into battle. And this is where Letter to a Pig really came back. That's all I'll say.
It's a pretty simple story. I would say that it's probably the most basic story compared to the other four.
Yeah.
Pretty base level, not too deep. You kind of get what's going on the whole time.
I mean, the message is pretty obvious. War is bad.
Yeah, and then you hear John and Yoko's song play
Yeah.
at the end. This only thing with this one specifically for Katie and I, Weta FX worked on this.
Oh yeah,
and
which
we
is
went
exciting.
we went to the Weta workshop in New Zealand and saw them like different ways they do, and
They did
really
all
do-
the special effects and like
Lord of the
costumes
Rings.
and swords and stuff for Lord of the Rings, and then they've worked on a ton of other movies, and now including they did visual effects for this short film, I guess.
So they would win an Oscar, which would be cool. But they already probably have
Yeah, they've already
Oscars.
got Oscars.
I think they showed the 2 Oscars they had at
Yeah,
the place. Yeah.
do
So
you
what
think?
I think Pachyderm is the only one that has a possibility to take it, but I think 95 Cents should and will win. I think we're
I
both
think
on the same
so,
page there.
too. I just don't really know how the voting usually goes for these ones, so tough for me to really like make a prediction. But I'm trying to manifest it because I thought it was so good.
All right, what's next?
Okay, let's talk live action short films, bit longer. Okay, we had The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. So The After was pretty short, and it is I don't remember his name ever. He's the guy who plays MLK and Selma,
Yeah, let me.
and he's in
I'm gonna butcher his
Silo.
name. I'll tell you that
he's
much.
British. He's so great.
David Oyelowo?
Oyelowo? Yeah.
Oyelowo.
Okay, we'll just call him David
It's too many vowels.
for now.
You know my feelings. I want more consonants.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel bad about like spoiling all these.
Well, we're gonna
but-
spoil it because at this point it's 4 days before the Oscars, so no
Yeah,
one's gonna
okay.
go out and watch all these short films.
So this one, there is like a killer on the loose, and all of a sudden kills this guy's like
Daughter.
8-year-old daughter, and then his wife dies too during that, and then it's kind of like him dealing with it, and it's just like overwhelming grief.
He's an Uber driver and he's just kind of slowly grieving while driving people around.
Yeah, it's just very sad.
Yeah, it's very
That's
sad.
like all there is to say about it. It's
And
very sad.
It's what they opened up with, and you're like, this is my favorite thing about going to see the shorts, because like the first one is always like, hey, shit's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Get ready for the rest of these. Then there was the next one we watched was Red, White, and Blue, which was basically about abortion in
the US.
Arkansas.
Well, yeah. It's Brittany Snow plays a single mom of 2, and then she in it is trying to leave Arkansas, go up to Missouri to go to the like closest abortion clinic, which is an 8-hour drive, and so it's kind of like showing how difficult it is for a lot of people in the US to access abortions. And then there is a twist that is deeply upsetting.
A twist
You
I saw
thought
coming.
it couldn't get worse, and it, oh boy, it did, and I cried a lot.
Yeah, that one's very sad. And it's hard to say what I'm going to say later about it because I think it's a little bit more like simple compared to the other ones, but it is very sad.
Yeah.
The next one we watched was Night of Fortune, which is, I think that was Denmark or
Yes.
Finland.
I think
It was a
Denmark. I think- no, it
Scandinavian
was Denmark.
country.
It was Denmark.
And it was about a man going to see his wife in the morgue
Yeah.
and just trying to deal with talking to his wife who's passed, like saying goodbye, while at the same time meeting another man who is doing that, and then hijinks ensue.
Yes. You really liked this one.
I really like this one a lot because it's I guess it's my sort of comedy that I like, where it's very awkward, where the guy he meets takes him to go meet his wife to say goodbye and help him. But you find out that wasn't that guy's wife, so the rest of the family of that guy's wife shows up, and they're all saying goodbye, and it's very
There are
awkward.
some funny moments.
And
But it's mostly sad.
yeah, it's mostly sad, but I like that. I like that one a lot. There was Invincible from
And this
Canada.
was my favorite one. It's it's French Canadian, so they're all speaking French. Well, because you think Canada.
Yeah,
but
I know.
it's in
So they're all speaking French.
And it's based on a true story, and it's about a teenage boy. He's like 15, 16, and he is in a juvenile detention center, and he gets like let out on the weekends to see his family, but then it's kind of about his struggle in the detention center, and he like breaks out and ultimately dies, and it's so sad. But I thought it was like beautifully shot and just like a really I don't know, like endearing story, and I felt like it just meant a lot to the family of him who made it, and I don't know, it definitely stuck with me, and seeing like his story play out both from his perspective and then kind of from his like family's perspective, like his little sister's perspective. I just thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think, it was a really good movie. I think it also impacts that you were a teacher for a while, so seeing like a kid that age like struggling
Yeah.
probably has an additional
Pulls at my
impact.
heartstrings.
But I will say, I think, and I didn't look at everybody in the theater, but I believe everyone cried at this one more so than any other one.
Yeah, I thought this one was the real tearjerker.
And lastly, Wes Anderson's wonderful story of Henry Sugar.
47 minutes long.
Too long.
Too long for a short film.
I love Wes Anderson. He's my favorite
You do.
director. But I did fall asleep during this.
It was
You can watch it on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
It's just Benedict. It's like
It's a good cast, as always, but
it's a good story.
it is an interesting story, but it's just like it takes so long to tell it.
Yeah, it is about meditation and taking time and becoming what is actual value of yourself and learning more about it, but in a very Wes Anderson-y way.
Yeah. Okay, so who do you think will win and should win?
I think Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar will win because of the Oscars' way of finally giving Wes Anderson an Oscar
Okay.
without having to be one of his movies, because Asteroid City was snubbed and it's amazing. What I think should win is probably Invincible.
Okay. I think, honestly, I do think that Red, White, and Blue could win because of the
Samantha Bee was a
national
producer.
conversation around abortion. But Invincible was the best.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Next up,
Best makeup and styling.
hairstyling.
Our nominees are Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. Golda is Golda is a story about Golda Meir, who is a prime minister of Israel, and her dealings with Egypt and their peace treaties and dealing with Henry Kissinger.
And played by Helen Mirren,
Who is a British,
not Jewish.
not Jewish, British person. And they put her in a lot of makeup and hairstyling to look like Golda Meir.
Yeah.
Which is why it got nominated. But I think what everybody's issues was for the whale is what my issues are for Golda. Where it's like, why did we do this? The movie is fine. It's just like, it's neat in a way of like, oh, I don't really know much about this event that happened. So it's neat to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But it is boring.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it. So.
It is a boring movie, and the makeup and hairstyling is simply just for Golda. Liev Schreiber plays Henry Kissinger, and he just looks like Liev Schreiber. It didn't change him at all.
That's funny.
And then the other one I saw that you didn't see, Society of the Snow, which is just a remake of the movie Alive.
Yep, all about the plane crash in the Andes.
With the soccer players eating each other. 14 of those soccer players who survived that plane crash have now seen 2 different movies of them eating their friends.
That has to be really rough.
It's like, what do you want to see tonight? I don't know, not me eating my friends again.
I mean, you're really simplifying it, okay?
But the hairstyling was really good, just showing them like throughout, like the sun scarring their faces, just what they went through, and that visually showing that is really good. Maestro,
also making someone look like a Jewish person when they're not Jewish.
Yep, that's
Bradley Cooper as Leonard Bernstein.
Oppenheimer, just it's a period piece, so that's why it gets a lot of its.
I mean, I think that Poor Things
and
should
Gary Oldman
win, personally.
Gary Oldman looked like the president.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And Poor Things is just kind of... Poor Things actually takes advantage of this to do kind of weird and wacky prosthetics and...
Yeah, well, and Bella, played by Emma Stone, her hair changes a lot throughout. Like, it's getting longer and longer, and there's a lot of... I think that they do use a lot of the makeup and hairstyling to convey, like, growth within the characters or changes within the characters. So, for that reason, I think it should win, but... I have no idea who will win for this.
This goes back to my thing. I think Oppenheimer will win and Poor Things should win.
Okay, sure. I could see them saying like Maestro will win because they do. Not only do they make Bradley Cooper look like this other person, but then he is also like young and like he's aging throughout. So I think they could maybe for that they'll give it to Maestro. Okay.
They also did aging in Oppenheimer too, because like they did multiple scenes where like
where he's really young.
Yeah,
I just didn't think it was as obvious, I guess,
which is a good thing.
All
right, next up we got best costume. Katie.
Okay, so the nominees here are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Again, could go any which way.
Well, we didn't see Napoleon, so we don't know. For me, I think this is a Barbie win.
Yeah, I think so too, because it is like amazing that everything in that is a real Barbie outfit.
Yeah, I think Barbie. I think we're both in agreement. Should and will win for this. There is an argument for Killers of the Flower Moon to get the authenticity for it.
Yeah, I just think, and I think you agree too, that Killers of the Flower Moon is like one of those movies that's gonna get did get nominated for a ton of stuff.
Banshees
and
of
it's gonna
Inisherin.
get, yeah, and it's like gonna get nothing.
Yeah, which sucks because that movie
It's
deserves.
good.
That movie, I think. Well, we can get to it later.
Yeah.
Next up, best production design. We
Okay.
got Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. We just heard
Those
these.
sound really familiar.
I would say Poor Things production design is really good some points and terrible at other points.
Yeah, it's so hit or miss. When they get off of that cruise, when they get off the boat to go have
The
like
slave
lunch
island.
on that slave island, it's so like it looks so strange. It just doesn't match
If
the
you haven't
rest of the
seen
movie.
Poor Things, you just hear what we just said.
I
You're
know.
like, what is this movie?
But that's
yeah.
the best way to describe it.
This is a side note that I want to mention before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
At any of these award shows, the Poor Things cast have all been hanging out together with the director, and it's just the goth kids at a party they're not supposed to be at.
Yeah.
They are very awkward on any pre-show interviews.
They really are. It is the opposite of the Barbie cast.
And the pre-show interview people have no idea how to even talk to them.
Yeah.
It's just really funny. And they're all like, they're all just kind of, they do that weird giggle to when somebody asks them a question, then all look at each other and then giggle more and then have an insane answer back to them.
Yep.
But yeah, production design wise, I don't think this is it. What do you think will win? What do you think should win for this?
It depends because the Barbie land set is very impressive and very thoughtful. So I definitely could see it going that way. I don't know. Oppenheimer was fine. We didn't see Napoleon. Killers of the Flower Moon, I thought, did have good production design. So, but again, if we're saying that they're not going to give Killers of the Flower Moon anything, then I guess I'll just choose Barbie for both.
I think Barbie should win. I think Oppenheimer will win.
Interesting.
I think Oppenheimer has a lot of different set pieces throughout, and I think that's just people are gonna enjoy that, and a lot of people may not focus as well on these type of things.
Yeah, true.
Next up, we got Best Film Editing: Anatomy of the Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Anatomy of the Fall, I saw, you didn't see. I recommend that movie. It is just a court case about whether this lady killed her husband or not, but it's like the acting class, like best acting movie, I think, out there next to another one we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Editing wise, what are your thoughts?
I thought the Holdovers editing was amazing because it makes it really look like you are in that era of like a 70s, 80s film. It looks like you're watching.
Because of the way it goes between scene to scene.
Well, and maybe this is the wrong category then. Am I thinking cinematography? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
But
save that.
it does like some going when it goes between scenes.
So what's
and the
film
pacing.
editing? Just transitions?
It's like and then like kind of like in Killers of the Flower Moon when Leonardo DiCaprio is talking about to his wife and then they cut in like other stuff of what's going on.
Like how good the cuts are.
Yeah, kind of. It's how good it feels, how smooth the movie goes between scene to scene. That's all editing.
Okay.
Editing is like the most important part, but it's basically like if you have a really good bass player in your band, no one notices it. But if
Sure.
you're really bad, they will notice it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I guess they're all good because I didn't really notice editing for any of these. So I don't know. I could for that alone, I'll just say Oppenheimer will win. Killers of the Flower Moon should win.
Okay,
I don't know.
gotcha. No, that's okay. That's fine. It's just like we are not those kind of film nerds to know those type of detail. But for everybody,
Someone will have strong opinions on this. It's just not me.
yeah. But for everybody listening who doesn't know, that is what it's specifically talking about.
Okay, cool.
It's just the person that sits down there and goes second by second to like know when to cut and then how it looks like when it goes from one scene to another. And mixes in with the sound and all that stuff. Well, that's sound mixing, but they're all working together, and editing is like such a big part of it. I would say Killers of the Flower Moon, I think, should win, and Oppenheimer will win, just like you.
Oh, great. That's what I predicted. Amazing. Okay, next we have Next, we have Best Cinematography. Perfect, because that is what I was trying to get us to talk about.
And that movie isn't on here.
And unfortunately, that movie isn't on here. That is a real shame. I'm upset. That's a snub. The nominees, though, are El Conde, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Now, of these, I did not watch El Conde. You did.
I loved El Conde.
That's the vampire one.
Yeah, El Conde is Spanish for the Count.
Cool.
I don't know who El Conde is for, but it is very good. It's the same director that made Spencer.
Okay.
That weird Princess Di movie.
Oh, that one with
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart. Oh gosh, talk about anxiety inducing. That movie is crazy.
Yeah, this movie is pretty crazy too, but in a way that's like, I don't know, fun. It's like more fun than what Spencer was, which was not fun at all. But it's filmed in black and white. It's a vampire doing vampire things. He flies. It all looks really cool, and I like every scene in it. I really enjoyed. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Good.
Just solid.
Yeah,
it's a
good.
solid movie. Looks great. Maestro.
Yeah, just the one scene where they're having that fight on the Upper West Side, and the Macy's parade is going past, and you just see giant balloons
As
as they're
Mulligan
fighting.
is eviscerating Bradley Cooper.
That scene was great, but the rest of the cinematography was.
What about the time where Leonard Bernstein's really old and dancing in the club? You didn't like that shot?
No, I don't.
It's so weird. He's sweating too much.
I know.
Oppenheimer, obviously.
Really good. Yeah.
It's why people see it in the IMAX.
Well, and is this where the black and white thing would come into play?
I think so. Yeah, that might be directing,
Oh,
but cinematography is also part of it.
so many films this year, too many, start in black and white and then at some point become color. Maestro did it. Poor Things did it. I don't think Killers of the Flower Moon did it, but Oppenheimer also had some scenes in color and some scenes in black and white. And then later I shared with you.
Yeah, I did not know this.
Okay, to be fair, I didn't read this. I just
No, you just knew
thought
it. Yeah, there's
and
not to
this
be
is
fair.
my thing.
You're very intelligent and smart to pick up on it.
So anytime, because they'll show the same scenes, but sometimes they're in color and sometimes they're in black and white. Like the scene where they're talking to Einstein at the end. Robert Downey Jr. talks to him at one point. Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy talks to him at one point. And you'll notice when it's black and white, that's when Robert Downey Jr. is talking to him because it's from his perspective. And then when Cillian Murphy is talking to him, it's in color. So anytime that you're seeing these scenes that are in color, that is from Oppenheimer's perspective. Anytime you're seeing it in black and white, that is from the senator's perspective.
Which is what leads to their arguments at the end, because one person is seeing the world in black and white, and Oppenheimer's seeing everything the way it kind of is.
So I just thought that was pretty good, but I don't know where that goes in these categories. It's just wherever that should go, Oppenheimer should win that category.
Okay.
That's what I think.
So you're saying, well, I think it's kind of a mix between that and directing.
I have no idea.
In a little editing. But okay, so you're gonna go with Oppenheimer for both?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I think cinematography for this, honestly, I think Poor Things should win if I really had to go, and I think this might be where Killers of the Flower Moon sneaks an Oscar.
Ooh. Okay, we'll see.
Next up, we've got Best Adapted Screenplay. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be me. I'm nominated for all 5 things. These are all my adapted screenplays of me in different video games. No, adapted screenplays are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Which...
Adapted from what?
Yeah, what is the Zone of Interest?
Adapted from history?
The Zone of Interest
Adapted from a history
historical
book?
records, maybe?
Yeah, that could be it. Because, what's Barbie adapted from? It's adapted from the Barbie toy.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily adapted from a particular Barbie film or something.
It's loosely based on a 2014 novel.
Oh, okay.
Called The Zone of Interest.
Sure.
Okay. Well, that opens... I would never have guessed that was adapted off a novel,
Yeah.
that movie, because it's just basically people living their life, and that's it.
Yeah, interesting.
American Fiction, who we saw the director and writer, Cord Jefferson,
We did
talk
see him.
after watching the movie.
Yeah, so bit biased.
I am a bit biased, but I thought that screenplay is great because
I thought so too.
it never tells you exactly what's going on. It doesn't tell you what the results are, and people's choices seem to have real consequences, which is great. And it's like, well, your life is messed up because of things that have happened and your own choices. It's not because of other things, kind of thing. I don't know. It did a really good job portraying that, and it did a really good job of you leaving the theater with an open-ended question, but not mad about that.
I agree. I just really liked that film, and I thought the writing was very smart and like trusted the audience to kind of pick up on the story and like the major themes instead of, spoon feeding it to you. So for that reason, I think that Cord Jefferson should win for this. Honestly, part of me is like, oh well, Greta Gerwig, this would be like her chance to win for Barbie, but I actually,
it's the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah, I do think the writing is the weakest part. I have some thoughts about America Ferrera's monologue that everyone loves. So, I don't think that I could say I'm necessarily rooting for Barbie for this one. And I don't think they'll give it to them, but I don't know.
Zone of Interest, the writing is good in the way that it feels like a real family talking, similar to why we like American Fiction. But I don't think that movie is necessarily, again, about the writing either. Poor Things is pretty good. The way everybody talks, the dialogue, for what it is in that realm of things, I like it. I just think you don't like Poor Things, so it's hard for you to like any aspect of it.
Well, I like certain performances in it. I like Emma Stone in it.
Yeah.
But I like the costuming for it. Did I already say that I think they should win costume design? I don't remember who I said. Oh, no, we said Barbie.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad if Poor Things won costume.
Okay.
I think that Bella's costuming is like very interesting, how she kind of changes as she grows into an adult. But
for this, who do you think will and should win?
I mean, I feel like it's probably will win is like Oppenheimer, and then should win American Fiction.
I'm with you on this one as well.
Okay. Then we have original screenplay,
which Barbie was going to be in, and then got moved to adapted screenplay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Barbie was original screenplay, but then I think the Academy was like, well, this is based off a known product.
Oh,
so it is adapted.
Huh.
I honestly think helps it have a better chance of winning an Oscar for that, but I still don't.
This one's going to be tough. So it's Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives.
Oh, man.
See, yeah, a lot of good ones in here. Now,
I would say all 5 of these are better than the other 5 movies we talked about. The adapted screenplays.
What? You think May December is better than American Fiction?
Oh, no, never mind. I forgot about American Fiction.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, American Fiction is better than most of these.
You think Maestro is better than Oppenheimer?
No, you're right.
Like, what are you saying?
I was just excited.
You're just saying nonsense.
I like Anatomy of a Fall and Past Lives.
Got excited because, you heard Anatomy of a Fall and Past Lives, which we really haven't talked about so far, and you got excited.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. I would say we don't think Maestro should win. Don't think May December should win.
No, but I'm glad May December got one nomination for something, because that movie is very interesting.
It is an interesting movie.
I thought the guy in it should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, Charles Melton was great. It just was a stacked category. I do think Julianne Moore should have gotten nominated for Supporting Actress, but I don't know who I would have kicked out. So.
Yeah, it just would have been funny to see of the supporting actors, it's Robert Downey Jr., Robert De Niro, Ryan Gosling, not Mark Ruffalo, who's the other one?
Sterling K.
Brown, and then Charles Melton in the picture of 5 when they show him. Just a funny show.
You know he was nominated for a Globe.
Yeah, he was nominated for a Globe, but the Oscars it's a different level.
I know. I'm just saying he's already been up against some of
but he
these
was
guys.
on the comedy musical, which that's anybody.
Yeah.
it's Past Lives to me.
I think so too.
Anatomy of a Fall is screenplay, but it's the acting to kind of portray the screenplay is really good. I really think you should see Anatomy of a Fall. I think will win is The Holdovers.
Yeah, it definitely could.
I think should win is Past Lives.
Yeah, I probably agree with you on that. I think it's between those two. But I could see them giving it to Past Lives. I don't know.
Yeah, Anatomy of a Fall, I think if they give it to anybody that's not The Holdovers, it's Anatomy of a Fall. I think Past Lives, especially since Greta Lee didn't get a nomination,
Yeah.
is just going to be overlooked. It wasn't a big, like, darling.
Yeah, it was really snubbed on the nominees overall. So I could see them, just not giving it anything, really.
Past Lives, I think Killers of the Flower Moon and Past Lives are two movies you all should see if you have a chance. Past Lives is, like, just a great
it's so
movie.
good.
All right. Next up, we're getting to our big four here.
Big four.
We're doing Best Director. Greta Gerwig.
No, she's not in it.
Which it does suck.
No Greta Gerwig, no Celine Song, who directed Past Lives.
Well, it's Justin Triet of Anatomy of a Fall.
No, Justine Triet.
Justine Triet of Anatomy of a Fall.
Well, you can't say Justin because that makes it sound like a guy,
You're
and it's
right.
not.
I'm not upset with you. I'm just making sure I pronounce it right the next time. Justine Triet from Anatomy of Did I mess it up again? You see, if you didn't comment, I had it the second time, and then you went into it.
Let's just move on.
Okay, why don't you say who the directors are?
Justine Triet, Martin Scorsese, Christopher Nolan, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Jonathan Glazer.
That's for Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Yes.
What are your... So let's... Anatomy of a Fall, I saw. And great. Every aspect, the shots, the acting, it's all... was fantastic. Killers of the Flower Moon, I feel the same way. Where do you think about the directing of Zone of Interest? I mean, I think Zone of Interest is really a movie that impacted you a lot. Like, we left that movie and you were thinking about every aspect of it.
I had lots to say. I mean, I think the directing was good because it almost is all direction in it. Is because there isn't necessarily a plot. There isn't a lot of... You're not really seeing a ton of conversations between people in the same way that you see conversations in movies where it's like, you know, one person is talking and then the camera's on them and then it changes to the other person. Like, this is really more of an observational film. And I think a lot of the success of that comes from having a good director. So I don't think a win for it, but it was, I thought it was good.
Who do you think? So you think Zone of Interest should win?
No.
Okay. What do you think should win? What do you think will win?
Well, it's hard for me to judge this one because I know nothing about directing.
Well, it's like the vision. It's like
I know.
if you leave the movie feeling like you got their vision out of it, that's the directing. And it seems like Zone of Interest is something you feel like you did.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think this will go to Christopher Nolan with Oppenheimer.
I'm with you. I think Christopher Nolan will win
It's just
this.
such a massive movie and it kind of comes down, if we're taking that route of massive movie, it kind of comes down to that versus Killers of the Flower Moon. But I think Oppenheimer is going to sweep.
I think Anatomy of the Fall should win, but I'm not. Zone of Interest is like sneaky in there too, for me. But Anatomy of the Fall, again, it is mainly just a court case with great performances by Sandra Huller, and there's a kid in it who again, as we agreed, there should be Best Kid in a Movie.
There should.
Nominee.
Absolutely.
Dominic Sessa would win for Holdovers.
He was so great.
But this Anatomy of the Fall kid is crazy.
Would they put Charles Melton in the kid category? Just kidding. He's like in his 20s.
That's such a weird thing to say. Oh, yeah, probably.
No, he wouldn't. He's not a child.
Julianne Moore's at the table. But yeah, I think Christopher Nolan is set to win this, and I mean, everything is going Nolan's way this year, and it's crazy.
I think so. I mean, we're gonna look like big dum-dums if like suddenly Oppenheimer just doesn't win stuff.
I think that would be if that happened and Oppenheimer wasn't winning things, that would be great for the Oscars because I don't want to see one film get celebrated.
Yeah, it's not
at the
as much
Oscars.
fun. You want everything to get celebrated, but
Uh,
okay, actor in a leading role.
Okay.
We have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction. Now, I believe if we look at like the Globes and BAFTAs and all of that, the two front runners are Cillian Murphy and Paul Giamatti.
Yes, I think the surprise win would be Giamatti winning over Cillian Murphy here.
I think so too. Yeah.
But Cillian Murphy is in like it's like 2.5 hours of this 3.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
And he's just Cillian Murphy in this like huge movie.
And it's a lot of close-ups of Cillian Murphy's face.
I want to give a shout out to Jeffrey Wright again, playing a very nuanced role, and
it's just a good movie. American Fiction is like the kind of movie that so many of the movies that are nominated for Oscars, you're kind of like, you watch it and you just get through it. You're like, and I wouldn't be watching this or enjoying watching this if I wasn't thinking about the Oscars with it. But American Fiction is genuinely a movie that I would recommend for someone to see like any time of year. And, you know, even if you can't see it in theaters, like watch it separately. Like it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable to watch. Yeah.
I would say like American Fiction and Past Lives are like those two stick with you
and
good
the
movies.
Holdovers.
The Holdovers, but I didn't like the Holdovers as much as you did.
Yeah.
I liked that it was like 70s style, but I felt it was a little bit more simple than I thought it was going to be.
Yes. Okay. Well, we can talk more about the movies themselves in a minute, but actor in a leading role, you think Cillian will take it?
I think Cillian will take it. I don't see why anything else would happen. I mean, Paul Giamatti maybe could surprise.
What about Bradley Cooper for his 3 hours of conducting or whatever he did? What did he do? He practiced conducting for 3 years or something to be able to do like 20 minutes of it?
To be as good as Cate Blanchett in Tar.
Which you can't.
And she didn't take 3 years. She just was confident.
Yeah.
Which is good for Tar.
Uh-huh.
And then Coleman Domingo, I don't want to not talk about him for a second, but in Rustin, that movie starts out a little bonkers and kind of crazy.
Yeah, you're like, what is this? The pacing is so weird.
He's very over the top.
Feels just very different from any of the other kind of like civil rights movement films. I feel like they all have a similar...
It's very jazzy at the beginning.
Well, they have a very similar cadence of usually how the story unfolds. And this one, it's a bit like all over the place. You're kind of like, who is this guy? And who, like, why is he talking to all these different people? Like, I don't really get a sense of his place in this movement. And then I think that's like kind of
the whole point. Yeah. But then like 15 minutes into it, you start getting like what his character is and who he's doing. You're like, oh, this is a very good performance.
The ending is great, I thought. Like, I thought he specifically was very good at the end. So definitely, I think, deserved the nomination. I don't think it's going to go his way. But I bet he's going to have a really good outfit on. He's been on like the best dressed lists for all the award shows. So
I think should win is Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon.
That was a snub for sure. He was great in that.
It's like
really great.
So many layers he had to be in that movie and be ugly.
Yeah, he does not have the Leo DiCaprio charm to fall back on in that film, and he is doing some terrible things, and somehow in the end you're still kind of like rooting for him, or you're like, I hope that he doesn't really mean to be doing all these terrible things, and it's impressive what Leo does.
Yeah.
With that character. Yeah.
But I think Jeffrey Wright should. Well, no, honestly, Cillian Murphy should and will win for this.
Yeah,
he does. I mean, him as Oppenheimer. It just, I don't know. It just is good. You're just like, he is killing this while you're watching that movie. No matter what your opinion of the movie is, you're like, this guy is.
He's really good in it. Yeah, absolutely.
Actress in a leading role. I'm gonna do the one last. Emma Stone in Poor Things. Carey Mulligan in Maestro.
Yep.
Sandra Huller in Anatomy of a Fall. Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon. And what I think will and should win,
No.
Annette Bening and Nyad.
No. Okay, so
That's
this
craziest.
one.
It's so insane she got nominated for this role. It's insane.
Well, so this was the big snub was
Greta
that
Lee
Greta Lee did
and
not
Margot Robbie.
and Margot Robbie did not get nominated. I do think either one of them should have been nominated
Over Annette Bening and
over
Nyad?
Annette Bening and Nyad.
Really? You think that this crazy lady screaming?
Well, I think at the end of the day, what she got nominated for is the fact that, it was a very physical role. It was probably very
Swimming.
taxing.
Yeah.
Even though, obviously, I know that she's not doing this actual swim. I just want to put that out there in case anyone's like, does Katie think that Annette Bening really swam from Cuba to Florida? No, I don't. But I'm sure she had to do a lot, and she's in her 60s, and that's, a lot to take on. That being said, I just don't think the acting in that film for her was up to the same caliber as Greta Lee in Past Lives.
Every time Annette Bening says a line as Nyad, I think it's the same person as Ezekiel Sims and Madam Web. It's the same line delivery. I've had dreams of swimming the Chile from Cuba to Florida.
Well, and it's tough when someone is playing a real person too, because you kind of maybe it was I don't know.
Well, they showed the real person
person
at the end, and it was similar.
Yeah,
but
I think, part of it is how accurate was this portrayal. And so maybe there's some of that too, but I would say not my choice. I think this does really come down to Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone.
Both Stones. I never noticed that till now.
I think Lily will take it.
Yeah, it is. This one is up in the air. It could be either one.
It could.
I think Sandra
gosh.
Huller should win.
What if Jimmy Kimmel yet again announces that Emma Stone has won?
It was Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway were the ones that incorrectly said the wrong name.
Gotcha. Okay, I just remember seeing Jimmy Kimmel because he was hosting.
I think he was
year.
trying to fix it.
Oh, that would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
honestly, Emma Stone would love it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Lily Gladstone probably wouldn't.
No.
I think Sandra Huller is basically like Anthony Hopkins in The Father.
Oh.
Where you watch, you're like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah, everyone has said that she is really fantastic. I mean,
and she's in Zone of Interest too.
You just never know.
No, I think we know this one.
Okay,
I think it's pretty clear it's either Lily or Emma.
Yeah, I just feel like all of our choices are safe bets.
I mean, that's my issue with the Oscars. It's my issue with WrestleMania
You're
coming
right.
up.
They forced our hand in this.
But yeah, I think Sandra Huller should win, and I'm gonna go with Lily Gladstone will win.
Okay, I'm going to go with Lily Gladstone will win, and she should win.
Oh, nice. She is very good in that movie.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how to explain it, but there is when you see a actor do very subtle things, the line she delivers to Leonardo DiCaprio, did you know what was in the shots you were giving me?
Yeah.
Because in the way she delivers it, where you're she knows.
Mm-hmm. And she has to pretend to be in love with Leo when he has those god-awful fake teeth in his mouth that look absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
So kudos to her. Okay.
I mean, it's really good. Yeah. There's three people. And Carey Mulligan, we didn't really talk about her at all. She is the best part of that movie.
She is the best part of that movie.
I mean, that's the end for Maestro, but she's the best part, but she is fourth out of... She's ahead of Annette Bening. Nyad. And lastly, Katie, do you want to read the Best Picture nominees?
I sure do. I will read all 10 of them, because we have 10 in this category now, up from, it was 5 originally.
We've had 10 for a while now.
Not that long.
I think we've had 10 for a good amount of time.
Okay, you look that up while I will say what they are. Best Picture nominees: American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. I mean, Oppenheimer.
Yeah, we can get it out of the
win.
way. Oppenheimer will win based on everything that's happened.
Based on all of it, I think that will
2021,
win.
it was a long time you could have up to 10 nominees. 2021 was when it first set. It was 10 nominees.
Well, so we're both right in a way.
Yeah.
Great.
So Best Picture, I think, let's just get out of the way. We both think Oppenheimer will win.
Now, yes. Now, The Holdovers did win the Globe, I believe, for best comedy
musical.
Yeah. So there's always like that in the back of, people's mind.
But the history doesn't do good for those movies.
No, it doesn't. I just want to say that.
Last year, which was a surprise with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. Now, what do you think should win?
That's the good question.
That's a good question.
Because I love Anatomy of a Fall. I love
do.
American Fiction.
Yep.
I love Past Lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Killers of the Flower Moon was the best overall movie that I saw last year.
Yeah.
Performance-wise, story-wise, just really cool things they did in the movie.
Yeah, like all the murder.
No. Killers of the Flower Moon, the book.
Awful. Ugh.
The book Killers of the Flower Moon has a character named Joe Bates in it.
Yes.
Who I don't think is a great guy, or he is a good guy.
I think it's
I'm not 100%
incredibly
sure.
small role.
I don't see Katie Hitledge in that book.
Yeah, correct.
But I think Killers of the Flower Moon, and I was never a big Scorsese guy before, but now I'm like, oh, this is just like awesome. What I just watched. And a lot of people don't agree with me. Like other people are like, oh, it's not Scorsese's best work. They had issues with certain things that he did in it.
And that's okay. You can still like it.
No, I know. But I'm just really surprised at it. I think sometimes I'm just way off on other people's views, who I think are like artsy.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I too am also off on that. Specifically for my love for Jojo Rabbit and
Great movie.
Come On.
Oh my gosh.
I loved those movies, and nobody else really was cheering for them in any way, shape, or form. So that's that. But I think, here's the thing. American Fiction, really strong film. If that won, that would be like really cool, but I don't think it will.
It doesn't feel like. It does feel
it's
like...
It's just not big enough to be the Best Picture winner is what I think.
Yeah, big enough is a good way of saying it. It isn't like perfect. There are some like mess ups in it. I don't want to say mess ups. I don't want to say flaws, but it's just not fully there. Because it is Cord Jefferson's first time directing.
Yeah, very impressive.
It's just like this guy knows what he's doing, and I think if Cord Jefferson makes another movie, the next one is going to be like even better. Like he is on a very good direction to like make some really, really cool movies.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I loved Past Lives, and I would probably say, well, my number one film of the year, as we know, was Theater Camp, but Past Lives was definitely up there. But I think again, it's like not a big enough film to get this.
It's just, I want to just really mention that Greta Lee in that movie. It's so crazy. The Past Lives is a movie about a woman who immigrated from South Korea, and her childhood like boyfriend,
best friend, but like they're like 12.
Will they? Won't they?
Not will they? Won't they? They're 12. They just had a little crush on each other. They went on like one date.
The Rachel and Ross of South Korea.
Okay.
So she comes to America, and while she's here working on her career. She meets a guy, they get married, and then her 12-year-old crush comes to visit because they've been connecting the whole time. They had like a long-distance relationship.
Connecting the whole time.
They had a long-distance relationship. They were talking back and forth.
Briefly in college.
Yeah.
And then they stopped talking.
Yes, they stopped talking.
But then he's like coming to the U.S. to visit, and so he's like, I want to see you. And she's like, okay. And then it just brings up all those feelings of like, in another life.
Yeah, if I would have stayed, what would have happened?
What would that look like? So a lot of subtle, nuanced acting, and she's fantastic in it.
Yeah, and it never went like in a direction that felt like a movie direction. Like, oh, the guy gets mad, or it just feels again real and grounded.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I would say those are kind of the two I would definitely recommend to see to everyone, Past Lives, American Fiction. But at the end of the day, I do think Oppenheimer will win, and I think Oppenheimer should win as well.
Okay.
I thought it was very good. There are a ton of people in that, which I think is interesting. Not that like star power necessarily equates to best picture, but that's a lot to rein in. And I thought it just overall was really good, and going into it I was like, oh, this is gonna feel so long, and it didn't feel that long. I mean, it felt long, but it wasn't like awful. So yeah, and I thought it was an interesting story too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our nominees. There will they the who should win, will they, won't they nominees. This is who should win, who will win for our first ever Oscar predictions show. This is a good movie podcast.
See how we did.
But before we get into our outro that Katie's not written down so we can sound real smooth with it, I want to ask, what is your this is a good, this is a bad, this is a normal takeaway for the Oscars? I'll start off.
Great, because I didn't think of any.
A good takeaway for me, and I just mentioned it, Greta Lee should have been nominated for Best Actress ahead of Annette Bening.
Okay.
I think you could, if you want to cover like snubs that were out here. I know you talked about the theater camp original song being snubbed.
Yes. Well, I don't know if I call that a good takeaway. Yeah, good takeaway. Theater camp should win Best Picture. Good takeaway is I appreciate that there are 10 films in the Best Picture category. I think that was controversial at the time, but I feel like that because we have 10 now instead of just 5, or like potentially up to 10, but instead, it's less, I think it gets us seeing a lot of movies that normally we wouldn't see. So I appreciate that.
Nice.
That's a good takeaway.
I think this is a bad takeaway.
Okay.
But I honestly am not looking forward to anybody's speech at the Oscars this year. Based on like what we've seen previously.
What else can they say that we haven't already seen?
Like, is Robert Downey Jr. really going to be that funny? Because I'm kind of not sick of him, but I'm like, I just don't think you're the guy you think like you are anymore.
They're all sick of having to give these speeches because they've all given like 8 in the past 2 months, and having the Oscars at the end of this is, I mean, there's like what, a 2-week break in between SAG and this.
Honestly, the speeches I'm looking forward to are all like the underlying ones, not the main ones. Like
not the acting ones,
like the short films.
Yeah, because that'll be something different at least. Yeah, I don't know that that's a bad takeaway.
Well, my bad takeaway is that the speeches will be bad this year.
Okay, I see. My bad takeaway is, as you know, the Iron Claw.
Oh.
The Iron Claw should have been nominated for Best Picture.
We haven't really talked about it in the podcast. You want to talk about your views on the Iron Claw and what you like about it? What it's about?
Zac Efron should be at the Oscars. Get Zac his Oscar.
Jeremy Allen Wright's been in everything. You would think you didn't want him at the Oscars.
Okay, well, here's what I'm saying, you guys. If they had nominated Theater Camp and the Iron Claw, you know who would be at this awards?
The Bear.
Io and Jeremy. They'd be back. We want them on the red carpet. We want to see them. So I think let's just go ahead and nominate those films now, and then we can get them there. I'm sure they'll say yes. They're not going to say, no one's going to turn down a trip to the Oscars if you're nominated.
Someone put The Bear in theaters right now, then you could put it in the Oscars.
Get The Bear in theaters.
Get The Bear in theaters.
No, I won't harp on the Iron Claw, but I did love it. But I loved it for a couple reasons. 1, I love Zac Efron so much. I'm really cheering for him, and I want him to succeed. 2, I love the rest of the cast as well, and want them to succeed too. And 3, I just have a fascination with the story of the Von Erichs ever since I first heard about it. It is the most heartbreaking story I have ever heard in my entire life, and I cannot stop thinking about it.
Katie loving pro wrestling to this degree is maybe a flaw I've given her, but I am so happy.
Great.
My normal takeaway.
Okay.
And this honestly could go under bad takeaway, but I'm going to put it here. My normal takeaway is that the Oscars should be hosted by Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway until otherwise, because I want a song and dance at the beginning of the Oscars.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I love a big montage song and dance like Billy Crystal used to do, where you sing about all the songs and their plots and there's comedy in it and it's fun. I miss that so much from the Oscars.
Yes.
And Jimmy Kimmel is fine. He is like base level host. If you're worse than Jimmy Kimmel, you're a bad host.
I think he's good, but he's not going to give you the song and dance that you are requesting.
No,
so.
I know, but he's going to give me some stuff. He's going to give me some things that are funny, some things that are kind of just not very good. And then you're like kind of moving on from it.
We'll see. I
But
mean, he could. I don't know.
I miss the host spectacle.
Sure. Okay. I'm trying to think. What makes you pick Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway? Because they did Les Mis together?
Because Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway were both good when they hosted the Oscars. Anne Hathaway got screwed over by James Franco, but she did a good job.
Yes.
And Hugh Jackman did a song and dance when he
Yes.
hosted the Oscars, and he has one of my favorite lines in these things, where he goes, he's like going through all the movie plots, and then he pulls his book up and he goes, "The reader. Did anybody see the reader?" And I love that so much.
You know who else could do a song and dance? Zac Efron and Zendaya, because they were in The Greatest Showman together.
Oh, I think
and
it's like
they
High School
both
Musical. So
sing-
Zendaya was
she
in High
was
School.
not in that. They both sing and dance, so maybe we get them on stage.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would love young theater kids. I can't believe I'm saying that. Get the cast of Theater Camp to go and do.
That would be amazing. Io, you're up.
Io, you're up.
Molly Gordon, get on
Io,
stage.
teach those kids how to theater.
Ben Platt. Okay.
Oh, Ben Platt.
Jimmy Tatro.
What's your normal takeaway before you get out of here?
My normal takeaway is that I think Oppenheimer's going to sweep. That's my normal takeaway.
Oppenheimer, yeah. I just don't love it because it's going to get boring after a while. But I'm with you on this one. Because even with a movie we loved, Everything Everywhere All at Once, it did get a little boring seeing
Having
it win
them
everything.
over and over. Yeah, I mean, yes. Also, I would love for Ke Kwan to win all the time. He had such a good speech.
Michelle Yeoh, too.
Yeah, they were great.
That was great speeches last year. Brendan Fraser was a little bit less than what I wanted, but that's it.
Okay.
All right. That's it. That's the Oscars podcast, Katie.
Yes, it is. Do you want to ask me what movie we'll be watching next?
Oh, I was going to let you just tell me, but Katie, what movie are we going to be watching next when we get back to normal podcasting?
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Inspired by my love of Zac Efron.
Oh, no. Oh, God, what have I opened up?
We're going to watch... Now, okay, I will preface this with I have not seen this movie in a while. I remember liking it and thinking it was good and fun, and I am going to see if it in fact stands the test of time.
Okay.
We're going to watch Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates.
I've never heard of this movie in my life.
Okay, great. Well, if everybody else wants to watch it ahead of time, you can do so on Hulu. That's where we'll be watching it. So I'm really excited to show it to you.
Nice. Great.
Okay, well, this was another Good Movie podcast. We appreciate you all listening. We appreciate our podcast editor and theme song creator, Kale Forbes, the theme song vocals from Austin Fry, and our logo from Carrie Pulley. If you want to hear more from us, you can follow our Instagram at TIAGMpod. You can find our personal Instagram handles there too, if you like one of us more than the other. And you
What
can
the hell?
I don't know. And you can email us at tiagmpodcast@gmail.com. As always, following, listening, subscribing, commenting, sharing, rating, reviewing is really, really helpful. And subscribing most of all. So please do that if you can. I'm Katie Hetledge.
I'm Joe Bates.
We love you. Bye.
Okay.
This is a good movie podcast with Katie and Joe.